Do you think cannabis is illegal in the UK because it's dangerous? If you do, listen up. Tobacco kills 80,000 Brits a year, alcohol kills over 20,000, but cannabis has zero recorded deaths ever in the whole world. So why is weed illegal in the UK? The real reasons might surprise you. Part 1. Reefer Madness. Cannabis wasn't banned in the UK because loads of people were using it and going mad. In 1928, when it was first outlawed, barely anyone in Britain smoked it. It was banned because we signed on to an international treaty, the 1925 Geneva Convention, which was heavily pushed by countries like the US, who had verifiably criminalised cannabis as a way to target ethnic minorities. As a result of the 1925 Geneva Convention, reefer madness propaganda made its way to the UK, and cannabis got lumped in with harder drugs like heroin and opium. Not because of any research or documented risks, but because of colonial fears, racism, and political control. Over the preceding years, cannabis was painted as something dangerous and foreign, a drug used by immigrants and outsiders. So from day one, UK cannabis laws had absolutely nothing to do with health, they were all about politics. Jump to the early 2000s, and for a brief moment, things looked like they might change when cannabis was downgraded to Class C, meaning you wouldn't be arrested if caught with small amounts. Then came the headlines: skunk is turning kids psychotic, super strength cannabis flooding the streets. And these stories caused a moral panic. And just like that, in 2009, Gordon Brown put cannabis back in Class B, going against his own scientific advisors, claiming he wanted to send the right message. Now, one of those scientific advisors, Professor David Nutt, who served as chair of the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs, was then dismissed by Home Secretary Alan Johnson after publicly saying, alcohol and tobacco cause more harm than LSD, ecstasy, and cannabis, and that policy should reflect scientific evidence. So again, science said one thing, and politics and the media said another. Part 2. Vested interests. Now here's where it gets even murkier. As of the late 2010s, the UK became the world's largest exporter of medical cannabis, thanks to licensed companies producing cannabis-based medicines for overseas markets. British company GW Pharmaceuticals, for example, was given an exclusive license to grow and produce medical cannabis under heavy Home Office regulation. Now, just a quick note here, the difference between medical cannabis and the super strength skunk is that medical is grown under license. Plants are the same, both rich in THC, it's the same genetics, essentially they are the same plant, as one is grown under license and the other isn't. So a select few British companies could grow and sell weed to countries where it was legal. Meanwhile, ordinary people in Britain get criminal records for the exact same plant. And those companies are licensed by the same government that says weed is too dangerous to be legal. So is it really about protecting people from harm, or is it about producing profits for a privileged few? Now, there has been some great progress in recent years. In 2018, medical cannabis became legal, but access through the NHS is still extremely limited, so patients are forced to turn to private clinics and pay out of their own pockets for their medicine. The industry is doing very well, with an estimated 63,000 people in the UK having received a prescription for medical cannabis, which is fantastic news. However, this arrangement does suggest that powerful interests prefer a model where cannabis is treated as a high-value pharmaceutical commodity and not a low-cost recreational product. It's clear that legalization would disrupt this model by allowing competition and potentially undercutting pharmaceutical profits. And that's not even considering the fact that research has shown when cannabis access increases, the demand for common pharmaceuticals like opioids, antidepressants, and sleeping pills decreases. Likewise, alcohol and tobacco companies have financial reasons to oppose legal weed, since it's also been linked to people drinking and smoking less. There's not much direct proof that UK alcohol and tobacco companies are fighting cannabis reform, but it's clear they have reasons to oppose it. Recently, some alcohol and tobacco companies have started investing in cannabis overseas, but at home they benefit from keeping it illegal, for now. Police and criminal justice sectors also have a financial stake in keeping cannabis illegal. Enforcing drug laws helps fund their work and justifies things like drug squads and stop and search. It's not necessarily about profit, but the system has created a kind of economic dependency on the drug war. For example, some police unions and agencies have pushed back against reform due to fears of losing funding or jobs. So all these economic factors help explain why recreational weed is still illegal. The current laws protect industries like pharma, alcohol, and tobacco while shutting down a potential cannabis market. Essentially, the people making money from the way things are have no reason to push for change. And that quietly keeps prohibition in place. Part 3. The tide is changing. Recreational cannabis reform is still off the table for all the major UK political parties. The Conservatives oppose it, sometimes calling for tougher laws, while Labour under Keir Starmer also rejects legalisation, partly to avoid scaring off older voters. However, public opinion is shifting, especially among younger people, and some smaller parties and MPs are actively pushing for change. Reports show legalisation could bring tax revenue, jobs, and social justice benefits. But media fear, political caution, and economic interest keep the status quo in place, for now at least. Meanwhile, around the world things are changing. Canada, Germany, Portugal, and multiple US states have legalised or decriminalised cannabis, and there's been no explosion in crime and no wave of psychosis. In fact, research has found that teen use goes down, tax revenue goes up, and people stop having their lives ruined for being caught with a plant. So why is weed really illegal in the UK? It's not because it's more harmful than alcohol or tobacco, and it's not because it causes mass mental health issues. Cannabis remains illegal due to a mix of politics, money, media, and social bias. Old treaties, cautious politicians, industry interest, and fear-based narratives all reinforce the current laws. Even though evidence shows cannabis is less harmful than alcohol and tobacco, real change is blocked by deeper political forces. Legalizing weed wouldn't cause chaos, it would reduce harm, it would boost the economy, and it would free up police time. The real danger isn't cannabis, it's sticking with a broken system based on outdated fear rather than scientific facts. If you think it's time for a more honest conversation about cannabis in the UK, please share this video. And if you're interested in learning more about medical cannabis, I've got a lengthy blog post covering all you need to know at highandpolite.co.uk. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching.